Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. I have a guest with me today. His name is Andrew, or also known as Mr. Positive. He's a fellow YouTuber on YouTube, and he's come out to talk to us a little bit about drawing. So I'm gonna give him the stage. So just go for it, man.
Oh, okay. Oh, what's up? Yeah, it's the first time I think I've really been on a YouTube stream, so this is pretty cool for me. I know you've been doing it for a while, but
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, it takes a little getting used to, but we'll just get the conversation
yeah,
going. So.
yeah. So, yeah, dude, I started making some YouTube videos a little while ago. It's pretty fun. Um, my videos have kind of mostly been drawing videos or art videos. Um, Mostly, yeah, pretty much all done on MS Paint because I don't really have a good drawing program at
And I
this
mean,
point.
is there any good drawing program that's better than MS Paint?
Well, MS Paint is really good, and I should honestly that is something I've thought about making a video of like all the reasons why MS Paint is the best drawing program. But the main reason that I use it is other than not having a better one or
I think we're
a
getting
different
some.
one, is that I've been it feels like 15 years or something like that. So
Okay.
I've done a lot of MS Paint drawings. So yeah, I don't know. I started making videos to kind of like if anybody's interested in those like I always have been those drawing or illustration videos, kind of time lapse stuff, and I've always drawn and make and painted and things like that. So I thought I'd share my knowledge, with anybody who was interested in that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So basically, the concept that I try to get across, like uh, at least more recently, is that pretty much drawing is a skill, you could say. So something that's learned, not necessarily something that you're born with.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I studied art for a little while in college, and um, yeah, one of the things that I still remember like really clearly, one of the, like first drawing classes that I had is that like that's what my professor said is that anybody can draw. It's a matter of like training yourself, practicing, so and things like that. But through through a little bit of like formal teaching, you can really improve. So my videos aren't necessarily like formal teaching or anything, but I do give a little bit of tips uh, as far as like like ways you can easily improve uh, your drawing ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess sort of walk us through maybe your process for how you pick out a picture or something.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I like as far as like something that I would draw on my channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of like to choose something that seems relatively difficult to draw for maybe a beginner. So yeah, my videos are mainly for people who are kind of starting to draw or wanting to like get a little bit of tips on some how they can improve. Not necessarily videos for like someone who's been an artist for a really long time, but I try to choose stuff that like I wanted to learn how to draw but never felt like I really could. Because certain like I think anybody who's done a little bit of art or anything like that kind of has their go-to uh picture or subject. So for me, it was always like faces. I would always zoom in just kind of around the face and draw like details and facial features, and that's kind of what I felt like I was good at. But one of the things that the yeah that I learned studying art in college is if you can see something, then you should be able to draw it, and it doesn't. You shouldn't have like there shouldn't necessarily be this barrier or boxing yourself in to certain subject matter. So it was really hard. Like they forced us, you kind of forced us to draw stuff we weren't comfortable with, and after time, like you kind of learn these little tricks and stuff to um, being able to just translate what you see onto paper or the computer if you're drawing. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I just try to choose stuff that seems relatively difficult, but when you break it down into kind of simpler shapes, uh, you can kind of learn to draw it a lot better.
Yeah, and I think one thing you were talking about with the art classes, and I always found that kind of a difficult situation because you'd have people that are making these creations and are trying to put their own passions into it, but then you also have to have some way of grading that. Um, and so
Yeah,
I guess what is your opinion on the sort of quantifying of how good an art piece is?
that's a good question. Yeah. So um, I think a good way to kind of look at it is like if you took a weight training class or some sort of like physical phys ed class, yeah, back in school. Like it wasn't necessarily there wasn't like this like 300 pounds. That's where you have to get to no matter where you
Yeah,
are.
yeah,
It was kind of like your growth. So there wasn't necessarily this outright like you're a good artist, so you should be doing this. It wasn't necessarily obvious, but the professors definitely seemed aware of, and everybody else in the class, that you would kind of seem aware of a person's abilities, and it kind of varied. You know, I always kind of saw myself in the middle of the class as far as like how good the artwork was, and a lot of that is like um, rendering, which is just being able to make something look realistic.
mm-hmm.
Uh, kind of can't think of the right exact word, but like certain people were just really, really good at putting together a picture
Maybe
that was like
perspective.
photo real. Yeah,
Yeah.
photorealism. Yeah.
Okay.
So certain people were just, and you could tell, you know, wow, that looks like that looks like exactly like a picture almost,
Yeah, yeah.
like the way they get the exact shapes and stuff. And then certain people you could tell weren't that wasn't their strong suit, but after turning in three assignments or four assignments, you kind of get to know everybody's work in the class, and so you kind of know what to expect, and it's more about growth and yeah, starting point and end point for each individual. There wasn't necessarily this bar that everybody had to meet. So grading was a lot to do with just getting the assignments in and meeting because the assignments were kind of laid out like it needs to be this type of picture with these qualities, and you had to meet those kind of standards that give you kind of guidelines for your work. But yeah, that was something that I had to get really used to is trying to criticize other people's work because it was kind of like this forced participation where you had to during after you turn in the assignment you do a critique, and you just go around everybody's painting or whatever and talk about it and say something you like, say something that they could improve on. And I mean it was really helpful as far as getting over being self-conscious about your work. That's for sure. Like I think everybody's you put a lot of time into something and then you show it to an entire class. There's a little bit of it's a little nerve-wracking at first, but you get used to it after a while.
Do you
And if
think
you
you
want to
get
be in,
do you
sorry?
think you get that same kind of feeling when you're posting one of your videos up on YouTube? Do you?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And the criticism can be a lot harsher
Oh yeah,
online.
yeah. People
And
don't.
a lot of it it's just whatever. Like you're putting a video out there that 99% of the people probably aren't necessarily looking for that. Well, I don't know about the numbers, but
Yeah,
most
yeah,
people aren't probably looking for your video necessarily unless you have a really specific type. So I think both of us were kind of doing like kind of a channel rather than just individual videos.
yeah,
Does that
yeah.
make sense? Like, so if you like one of my videos, you maybe you'll like another one of my videos. So, because they're kind of is a similar theme,
Trying to
and this is
keep
the
in the
same thing
same
as your
vein.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I think that's it's an interesting parallel with previous life and what you're doing now. I guess is any random maybe stories you can say of when you had maybe struggled with an art project or something you had to overcome?
Oh, I mean, college the whole time was was a struggle. It seemed like, but yeah. I don't know. I think just deadlines. It makes it really hard
Mm.
because
You can't rush art.
it for yeah for it's really hard to be rushed. Although like I mean you need deadlines otherwise you could
Yeah,
spend forever on a project because there's I mean with any type of art it seems like everybody struggles with where do you finish? When is this thing finally done? Whether it be music or visual arts. So um deadlines are important, but it definitely they're a little bit shorter than maybe real life deadlines. I like, yeah, deadlines make it make it kind of stressful, but you're forced to put something out there, and that's also like everybody kind of understands when you only have like a week or a couple of days to work on a finished art piece. Everybody kind of is in the same boat and knows that this isn't necessarily something that you'd uh, kind of finish with. But
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what later on in school you have more a lot more time to work on projects when you kind of work for
hmm
your final presentation or art show or whatever your senior show. So
I think that's something that kind of resonates into pretty much any project. Just being able to visualize those that visualize some sort of progress, especially if it's a long-term project.
hmm
Because I think that a lot of people tend to get this maybe discouraged by the fact that like something's taking a really long time, and it's kind of hard to see there if there isn't like an immediate big leap, then it's hard to see what exactly is um, being accomplished.
yeah, and and that's why it's really good to have somebody to bounce ideas off of or kind of check your work as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a couple of people that I kind of talk to about making videos or even like art projects on my own. But yeah, there's some people who are always kind of asking, hey, are you working on anything? Or I have this kind of idea for you and stuff like that. So that can be really helpful because I don't know, you need some external sources every once in a while.
Yeah, and I think it's good to kind of like recharge socially, because I can speak from experience that when it seems like you're making something that no one is gonna end up seeing, it's kind of disheartening. But then every once in a while, it's nice to have someone that's just like, oh yeah, I saw that you were working on something or whatnot. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's what's so cool about putting something up on YouTube is that like it has the potential for a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people to see it. So when I'm making my videos, it's usually the thought is, okay, like whatever, not too many people are going to see this, but potentially,
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot
You
of
never
people could
know.
see it. So you never know. It's always kind of cool. It's like a little bit of definitely a little bit of excitement there uploading a video now. It's really fun.
Yeah. So I guess is there any final things you want to mention before we move on to any other sections?
Not really. That was pretty good talk, I'd say. Yeah, I think we talked about everything I wanted to talk about for sure.
Okay, and if you guys watching have any questions, you can either leave those in the chat while it's live here, or you can leave them in the comments, and I'm sure me and Andrew will be in touch. But for now, we're gonna move on. So I'm gonna save off this. Have you seen the little sketch I was working on when? Uh,
I just started to look at it now.
oh yeah, I think it
Oh
ended
my
up being
gosh.
you, but I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's the exact hat that I wear when I paint.
Oh yeah, yeah. You just got
Yeah,
like a pilgrim kind of Abraham Lincoln hat going
that's
on.
my go-to hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just gonna save this
That's
off, and
sweet.
then we can.
You know what? I like that. I don't actually like painting on an easel. I have one, but I like to sit down when I paint
Oh yeah.
for whatever reason. Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I really like about MS Paint because because I'll draw comics and stuff in my free time, and when I mess up on something in real life, I find myself trying to find the undo button, and it's never there.
Yeah, yeah. No, when I'm doing paint, I have my left hand on Control Z the entire
Oh
time,
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much.
I have a because like my style for the comics, I always kind of sketch it and then go in and clean it up. But the cleaning up is a lot of like erasing in circles and stuff, and I always
Yeah.
go too far. And I'm like, oh man, I gotta undo that. But then it doesn't work in real life, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But